And now to politics. The 2023 governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State, Tonya Cole, has called for a critical reassessment of Nigeria's presidential system, arguing that it is ill-suited to the country's needs. Speaking during a televised interview, Cole said that many Africans are dissatisfied with the political systems imposed on their nations, which often fail to reflect local realities. He stressed that successful countries typically adopt governance models tailored to their unique contexts, citing Arab nations and China as examples of states that have rejected Western political frameworks in favor of systems aligned with their values. Cole further emphasized that Nigeria should draw inspiration from its own cultural and historical foundations, noting that the country had a functional indigenous political structure before colonization, one that could inform a more suitable system of governance today. Now, to help make sense of this, we're joined by a legal practitioner, Toho Osaruwaja. Thank you so much, Toho, for joining us.
You're welcome, and good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon to you too. So is there a constitutional or maybe a legal framework for equitable power rotation or zoning within a presidential system? Let's start from there.
The answer to that question is no. If you look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if you look at Section 131, that talks about who can become the president of Nigeria, and if you also look at Section 5 and Section 130 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there's no legal framework for issue of zoning or issue of rotational presidency or who becomes the president of Nigeria. But the political parties, in their wisdom, which I think is wise, in their own wisdom, they came together to kind of find a way of addressing this particular issue, which I think is not bad. But the provision of the Constitution supersedes such an issue. So it just depends on the way the political party manage and market their candidates that can decide who emerge the president of Nigeria, of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay, so when you look at Nigeria's make, and of course the regions and the way it is with the ethnic groups and all, what kind of system of government would be suitable or ideal for it to ensure that governance trickles down from the top to the grassroots?
Well, if I draw our attention to some certain issues, because sometimes if histories are not properly understood, the mistake is inevitable. You notice that before our independence, or technically within the independent system, we practice the monarch system of government, which we pay allegiance to the throne, which is the king, the queen of England at that particular point in time. Then when we got our independence in 1960, we also played partial allegiance to the throne, which is like a monarch system, the monarch system of government. Then before we entered into the parliamentary system of government, where that failed, when the parliamentary system of government failed, then we now move into the presidential system of government. But let me take you through the memory lane. You notice that at that time of the parliamentary system of government, we have an element of federalism in place. But after the Civil War, where we were told, or I read, and I also aligned myself with the reasoning, that they believed that the units had more power, that made them, give more advantage to the arise of the Civil War. So Yakubu Gowon then, as the military head of state, ordered to have a weaker unit and a stronger center. That was what altered our kind of federal system of government in a military regime, and that was adopted even in the Second Republic, which is the Second Republic. Then also went further to the Third Republic, which we are in now to this particular point in time. So if you look at it in a holistic way, you ask yourself, what system of government do Nigeria really practice? Our constitution spell it out. We practice the federal system of government and the presidential put together, federal and presidential system of government.
Okay.
But if you look at it carefully, you discover that Nigeria has not put in the spirit of the constitution into play. That is where we have the confusion. So with our diverse nature, I believe the presidential and federal system of government we are practicing now stay the best. Because if you look at it carefully, look at how the colonial rule, the success and the failures of the colonial rule, you understand the importance of our diversity and the importance of the federal system of government or presidential system of government we are practicing in Nigeria.
Okay. But then, you know, we have a presidential system that concentrates the power at the center. So is it safe to say that this sort of executive dominance actually undermines constitutional interpretation and implementation that actually gives freedom to judicial and legislative processes, and including independence too?
Yes, I'll tell you for free. The answer is yes. Because if you look at it carefully, and sometimes the governors, and okay, a good example, the one we all have been celebrating that did not come to play. If you look, we say we practice federal system of government, which has to do with the 3 tiers of government and the 3 I's, which is one. You talk about the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative arm. Then you now talk about the state, the federal, the state, and the local government. And you could see that the local government has become comatose. As a matter of fact, it's like a branch of the state government whereby they pick and sack whoever they want to be the chairman of the local government, and they also determine the project, which that is for that. Then 2, you discover that we also practice this issue of how will I put it now? We don't practice the federal system of government which the constitution portrays. Apart from issues on the exclusive legislative list, which are few, then you now see that the higher matters that need to be looked at to, the state government are shying, they shy away from it. Now, you discover that the state government has metamorphosed into taking responsibilities of local government in Nigeria. So this confusion and crisis is making us trying to understand which system of government is best for Nigeria. But I'll tell you, if we put the spirit and the letter of our constitution into play, you discover that the federal system of government or the presidential system of government we're practicing now is the best. So it's just issue of our attitude towards laid down laws and regulation that governs this system of government.
All right, and the other side of this discussion has to do with a system that actually has an immunity structure for executive office holders in Nigeria. Does that not also contribute to systemic inefficiencies and, of course, corruption?
No. That is where we get it wrong. Yes, the president and the governors are immune for criminal prosecution, but they are not immune for impeachment. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, Nigerian executive are the most vulnerable. The Nigerian legislative executive arm are the most vulnerable. Look at the provision of the constitution. What determines misconduct? It is not spelled. So it's at the whims and caprices of the members of the National Assembly or the members of the State House of Assembly to determine whether a governor has breached that particular provision of the law. And when the governor is impeached or when the president is impeached, he is to face any criminal allegation. We've never seen where a president of Nigeria has been prosecuted for actions he has taken. We've never seen where the president of Nigeria would have done things we know. As a matter of fact, in any civilized nature, in every civilized country, that such impeachment proceedings will commence immediately. It's not about they're immune from prosecution.
Yes, I'm going to let you go too, but quickly, how do you want to impeach a president or a governor that has immunity from being probed?
No, the issue of immunity is for prosecution against is protecting them from prosecution, which was borrowed from the English system of government where that the king does no wrong. But impeachment proceedings, the governors are not, and the president are not immune from it. A good example of Rivers State. Let me come back to Rivers State. You discover that Rivers State, the State House of Assembly, they've already started in motion the process of impeaching the governor. I don't know if you understand. And if it is if he's impeached, any criminal offense traced to him, he will be prosecuted by the law enforcement agency. So the issue we are having is that we have stronger individual rather than institution.
Okay.
So that is why you see that they said if this person is not there, nothing can happen. So that is the mentality of Nigeria. So be rest assured that it's not about the system of government we practice. It's about the mindset and the level of understanding of the individuals that are in the stakeholders in that sectors that are looking at it from that perspective. If a governor, okay, if a president is like what happened in Nigeria,
okay,
a good example where a state of emergency was declared, looking at the provision of this thing. I'll tell you for free, if it's to be in the UK, for the Attorney General of the Federation to come and even address to defend such an act, his license will be revoked.
Okay.
For him to even come and defend that act alone, his license will be revoked. Then two, the president wouldn't have even been in Asoro. So that is what the system is like.
Thank you so much.
The stipulated way it ought to be.
All right. Thank you so much, Toho Seriwaja, for this clarification. We hope that we get it right in the country. We appreciate that.
You are welcome.